In this episode, we spoke to Ashlee Laura. She recently shared her story on her business Facebook page, which now has over 4,000 views, touching many people in her local community. Listen to her story about her ups and downs with her severe anxiety and depression, her experience with workplace bullying and developing a rare stress-related voice disorder, and how despite all this, she is now loving life and running 2 very successful businesses and empowering other women to do the same. Here's Ashlee.
My name is Ashlee. I have 2 children, so Nate is 6, Sophie is 8. My background is in marketing, so I went to uni, studied business and marketing. I worked for quite a large range of different industries before I got into beauty, and now I own Unsplash, which has been around for 7.5 years now in Camden, and I've got an amazing team. I've got about 14 girls at the moment, and then I also am a business coach, so I focus on helping other women in service-based industries help them grow their business. So that's a little bit about me.
So let's go back to the beginning before Unsplash days. Were you always an anxious person back then?
I wasn't anxious. I had suffered with depression previously, so I never really liked to talk about my childhood as such, but I had a lot of stuff happened in my childhood, that in my teen years I did suffer with severe depression as well, a mixture of different things. But yeah, I guess when you're a teenager, you go through all these different emotional things. And when I look back as well, there was one period where I was severely depressed, but I was actually on Roaccutane, which is used to treat acne. One of the major side effects is depression, and it's quite scary. And so I was quite suicidal in my teens as well. So they were in the earlier years.
After that kind of high school period year, did you find your mental health improved, or did you go straight into work, or what kind of happened after that?
So went to year 12. I always worked, so I worked from the age of 14, and then I went to TAFE, did design, and then I did event management, and then I worked full-time in the city, so doing event management, and I was really happy. Then got into marketing. I realised I kind of wanted to do everything, and marketing's like the whole umbrella. So I was working full-time, studying at uni full-time as well. Every night I would go to uni, so it was quite big days. Yeah. And I was so happy. The job, and where you've obviously heard previously about my experience in the workplace, that was one of my favouriteest jobs.
Really?
So it was the most amazing job. I loved it. I was friends with everyone in the hotel, just really bubbly. I just felt the best I had ever been. And my manager, she went on maternity leave. And then when she came back, she was dreadful, like a completely different person. So and I think because I was the one that worked right side by side, it was her, she took it out on me. And I guess looking back now, I can see what was happening and why she treated me that way. It was her own reflection of her own life, and she wasn't happy. She was kind of forced to come back to work, because her husband had opened his own business, so she had 2 twins, I think it was, and then she just started treating me horribly, and then I just went downhill from there. I was feeling like not worthy, not good enough, and I guess when those feelings came up, they then triggered back to the emotions I would feel when I was a child. So it's kind of like, we have these things that happen when we're young, that build like a subconscious belief system in our brain, and then different things happen in your life and it triggers it. So it was definitely a big trigger for it, and it was like a validation that I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good at what I was doing. I wasn't good enough, and every day it was something new. So the main things that kind of stick in my mind, because we had dry cleaning in the hotel, they would dry clean our clothes, and back then, like the knee-length high-waisted skirts were really in fashion. I don't know if you were probably a baby, and a suit jacket. So it was quite trendy.
Yeah.
And she obviously didn't like what I was wearing and made me go get my suits out of the dry cleaners and change, which was kind of okay. But then when the whole workplace in the morning had commented on how well I looked, and then they were all asking me, how come you changed? Why did you change your outfit? And that obviously just every time someone would ask you, it just got at me. And then other things, I'd come to work. Like, I have makeup on now, but I don't wear much makeup. So I would have had the same amount of makeup on as today. You look like a train wreck. You need to put some makeup on. And I remember once she took me down to Maya and made me buy makeup that she wanted me to wear. And I think I spent a couple $100. I only got paid like $400 a week too. So just these were the little things that happened every day. And it just slowly started eating away at me.
So just quite controlling.
Yeah, controlling, trying to mold me exactly how she wanted me to be, I guess, because that was the only thing maybe she had control in her life, was she could control me.
And how long was this kind of going on for?
Probably went on for a good 6 to 8 months, and then by in between 6 to 8 months, that's where I was literally having a massive breakdown. I started taking, I was on antidepressants, started taking Valium, and I just remember sitting at work, being completely off my face, to be honest, on Valium, and people would talk to me and it'd be like a blur. But that was the only way for me to numb it out. And I started having, and that's when the speech disorder started. So the anxiety kicked in, and then, the speech disorder started. It's called active spasmodic disorder. So it's it's a neurology disorder that causes your vocal cords to spasm. So I couldn't actually talk. So and it was really bad on the phone. When you call someone and it goes and you can't hear what they're saying?
Yeah.
That's what my voice would do. And people would be like, oh, it's a bad line. And then it would frustrate me even more, because I'm like, it's not a freaking bad line, it's my voice. So
you could talk in a sentence, but parts of it
so it'd be hello, like that. Yeah. So that went on for a while, and that's when I got really, really depressed. Really, really depressed. We went to a few doctors, and I went to a speech pathologist in the city, and she kind of knew straight away. She said, I want you to go see Dr. Darvaniza. He's a neurologist. And I was like, oh, okay. Went to him, and he specialises in these speech conditions. And he said, yes, it is active spasmodic disorder. The only way to treat it is Botox injections into the vocal cords, which is, mind you, extremely bloody painful. So they would literally put the needle through here, and it was quite big, but they'd be hooked up to a machine, and I'd have to speak when the needle was in, so they could make sure they were hitting the right spot. And I would pass out almost every time that I'd get it done. So that every 3 months I had to go to get that done. And funny enough, when I opened Eden, I never had to get one ever since.
Wow.
It just kind of disappeared, which is really weird. That's pretty cool. It was just around the time I was opening up Eden Spa, I got a session, and then after that, every now and then it will go choke a bit, but it's not what it was.
Did the doctors say that would be something long term, or did they say it was
long term?
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So it was weird. I think because I was truly happy and then doing something I was passionate about. So.
And did they say that overstressed and being overly anxious would lead to something like that?
Yeah, stress does cause it.
That just goes to show how stressed you must have been.
Yeah, and it's so crazy what stress does to your body, and it can come through all different forms, like cancer and this and that. After I worked at this place, I got a new job, and someone had said something about my voice, and I was drunk on antidepressants, and I just kind of snapped it, and I took 4 packets of Panadol, locked myself in a bathroom in the city. Nothing happened. Then I got on the train to go home, and back then I lived over near St. Clair. The train stopped at Penrith. Somewhere along there, I'd passed out on the train, and there was apparently a man watching me, so he called the ambulance or whatever. Apparently. So I was on life support, and apparently if I was 5 minutes later, they said you would have definitely died. I guess the first thing was waking up and seeing, obviously, my family really upset. That probably upsets me the most. So that was probably the first thing, because I guess when you are feeling really, really depressed, it is selfish, and I feel like I'm allowed to say that because I've been in that situation, and it's not to hurt anyone else's feelings or say that they're being selfish, but your brain is so foggy and black. You don't think about anyone else. You just think about how hard you have it and how bad your life is, rather than thinking about other people and what they're going through too. But you just feel like everything's just hitting you left, right and center, like you just can't cop a break. So that was probably the first kind of like, oh wow, I feel bad. Like, I feel bad that I would have hurt them. I didn't want to hurt them. I want to just hurt me, not you. So I think that was the first thing. But my cousin, who I was close with, she died when we were 16, and she was found on the train tracks. So I'm a big believer that she was kind of watching over me and said, no, like, you aren't going to die. So I just feel like I owe it to her to make something of my life and do something and help other people.
So I guess after that really low point,
Yeah.
where did you go from then?
I started working like just part-time, so rather than, because I worked so much, going to uni full-time, like it was hard, so I just kind of worked part-time, which was great. I worked at Bream Hot Water Heaters in the marketing department. I loved it there too. They were all so lovely. All the managers were great. And then from there I went full-time to Greyvox, you know, the gravy brand, so brand manager for Greyvox. And then I sort of fell pregnant, and my husband's business was doing really, really well. So I was on the side helping his business. He does solar, he's an electrician. He kind of wanted to invest the money he had made into something, and just like the opportunity come up. My good friend is a beauty therapist and wanted to open her own thing, sort of thing. So we kind of decided to kind of work together and open up Eden's. I think he really wanted to create something for me. Like he was always concerned that I was like something, I was probably going to try and kill myself or something, like, and I think that was his way of trying to help me do something that I loved, rather than me.
It's really sweet.
So he's great like that. So it was kind of like 2 or 3 years of mending, not working as hard, focusing on myself, trying to rebuild. And to be completely honest, it's not easy. It's been really, really hard. And it was only probably in the last 2 years, because I started working with a mindset coach. And I remember calling Matt about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and I just said to him, oh, I feel so happy today. I feel like I used to be. Like, but it took me 10 years to get there. Like, it's not easy. Like, you're constantly trying to work on yourself, overcome all those thoughts and belief patterns of people telling you not good enough or whatever. So it's hard. I definitely wanted to get better, and I definitely think it's important now to tell people when you're not feeling good. So I do go through stages where I feel terrible. And like when I had my son 6 years ago, I got really depressed again, but I did something about it. You know, I went to the doctor and sorted myself out rather than not doing anything about it. And I think we can fall into these patterns of, you know, we just fall into these patterns and we just close ourselves off to the world, and it gets worse rather than letting people know around you, I am feeling shitty. I do need help. Like, I don't want to be like this.
I guess, like, if you're in the marketing industry, what kind of led you into the beauty realm?
Before Eden, Matt and I used to always go to day spas, like, and then we started becoming really picky, like picky, and we'd be like, oh, if they only did this, it'd make it so much better and whatnot. And I guess my friend, we grew up together, and she kind of wanted to do her own thing, but she didn't have the money, so Matt and I paid to open Eden, and she was sort of running it and whatnot. Originally, it was never my plan to be the beauty therapist, but unfortunately our kind of partnership didn't go too well. So then she left only after like 5 or 6 months. So then I was like, shit, I really need to study, because I need to be qualified and jump in if someone calls in sick or whatever. So I studied beauty. I do love doing it. I love it when the client says, I feel so amazing, like it makes me feel good. But I feel like I've achieved what I wanted to do now. I am very business minded and I'm very much a thinker, so I like to kind of come up with new ideas and stuff like that, so which has led me into the business coaching. I guess it's like a healing journey too, so to make sure like women do look after themselves, because I think we don't, especially mums, we tend to put everyone first and we put ourselves last, and that's how we get run down and you know, anxious, feel depressed and all those type of feelings that occur. So
would you say kind of going through what you went through, it kind of made you realise?
I think if I didn't go through it, I would never have thought of opening a day spa. It was just that I wanted to create a place men come to, but more so for women, to look after themselves and not feel judged. I know I've been to plenty of beauty places and you walk in, you actually feel like they're judging you, and you don't want to feel that way. You actually just want to feel welcome.
How is your mental health at the moment?
Yeah, good. Yeah, great.
Do you implement any strategies or things every day to kind of help relax and things like that?
I'm very much a workaholic and I do enjoy working. I love working. So to me, that isn't a problem, but I do find I do get stressed, and I find yoga and meditation work really well. I love meditation. I do Bowen therapy as well. Have you heard of Bowen?
Yeah.
It's so good. So I've got Bowen tonight. So I go to Bowen once a week, which is amazing. Do you know what? I still feel confused about what Bowen is, but there's pressure points that they press to release aches and pains. Who I see, she's kind of like an energy healer as well. So she kind of heals energies off me, cleanses the body. I know it's a bit woohoo, but it works for me. It's kind of a bit of pressure point, but energy clearing.
You seem like a very driven person. Do you know where that stems from, like this ambition side of you?
Yep. So it comes from my childhood. So and look, I'm not saying that my mum did anything wrong. I think she did the best job she could, but I felt like I was never good enough. So I'm a high achiever. And it's a problem of mine. So when I achieve something, I actually don't celebrate it. It's like, yes, tick, move to the next thing, which is a problem. I know it's a problem. It's a good thing, but it's not a good thing, because I think it's really important that everyone actually stops and celebrates their wins. So I am trying to celebrate a little bit more, but it does come from my childhood not feeling I'm good enough, and I constantly feel like I'm trying to prove myself. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I'm smart enough, because I'm a terrible reader, a terrible writer. My spelling's atrocious. In terms of academic-wise, I'm not the best. I struggled so bad, so it's like I'm constantly trying to prove you can do this. You are smart enough. You are clever enough. Doesn't matter if you can't read or write.
And now I guess that you've taken a back seat a little bit to Inspire.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your coaching business as well?
Yeah, I have 20 or so clients. We do one-on-one coaching, plus I have an academy as well, where it's like a group academy. I basically just help them implement strategies, ideas, systems in place. So I'm teaching them all the things that I have done to grow my business so quickly. People actually don't believe me when I say my business turns over $1 million a year, and it does. For a small business in Camden, that's a lot. Yeah. But I guess that comes too from the branding and marketing background as well. So, and it all starts with knowing your why. Why do you do what you do? And then from there, if you can really communicate that with your team and communicate that through your brand, you'll connect with the right people and they'll come to your business and support you. And I've always been very transparent and open with what I've been through, and I think it's really important to do that.
Just lastly, looking back, what do you think is your most proudest moment or greatest achievement?
See, this is difficult for me because I don't celebrate these things, but it does make me proud that I have built such a well-known brand. And I hear it all the time, and so does our staff. They will go somewhere and people will say, I've got a gift voucher there, I can't wait, I've been wanting to go there for ages. And it is nice. It's a lot of people do know of the business, so that is good, and I feel like that is a massive achievement because I've built such a strong brand, really.
One of the main things that stood out to me when I watched your video was despite having rough times even in your childhood and then through your early 20s, you've really done such an amazing job. In that in itself, I would say it's such it's fun. I have had family members say to me, I'm surprised you turned out this way. And I'm like, thank you. I don't know if it's a compliment or a dig. I take that?
But I think it is good. There's all different paths that people can choose to go down. I feel like it is a choice. And I'm a big believer in, if you want to do something, you go do it. Don't let anyone stop you. You know, it's hard. It's not easy. I could go on about all the terrible things that has happened to us during business. Like, we've had so many shit things happen. A few years back, I actually said to our lawyer, the stuff that's happened to me in my business, is this normal? And she said, no, I'm surprised your doors are still open. Like, we have had so many things like hit us left, right and center, but we're still going. So I think that would come back to the brand and really wanting it to work and being connected, I think. Yeah.